bop it, twist it, spin it, exit. It's Amigos, episode 375. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to be talking about exit.
Woo!
Have you ever been in a situation, Aaron, where you had to make for the exit?
Oh man, you got that right many times. I'll give you an example because it's fresh in my mind. I went to a party one time. It was actually right down on Main Street, right? And it was it's this dude's house. I didn't know that good, but he's a friend of a friend. And I'm sitting there
On Main Street?
On Main Street.
Where did he live
it's
on
near
Main Street?
It's like Mesa Manor, somewhere like
that. Oh,
that.
yeah, I know Mesa Manor.
So I'm there with my buddy Beasley, and Beasley's the coolest guy in town. Just he's like a ninja. He's
the one with the hair transplants, right?
No, he's got a great head of hair. Just a regular guy. So we're sitting in there and we're watching Muhammad Ali documentary, all right? And there's a party going on, but the party's made up of a bunch of dorks, and one of the dorks' parents own the house, right? And so they're like, listen, the geek tells us, listen, my parents don't know I'm having this party. So if you see him roll up, give me the high sign. And we're like, all right. I didn't know this guy. So we're sitting in there, and all of a sudden the door opens, and this huge man walks in. And I'm like, oh. He goes, hello. He goes, have you seen my son? And I go, yeah, he's way in the back there. He goes, okay, thank you. And then he walked in the back, and me and Beasley jetted out the front door. That's the last I saw of that guy. Another story, I was at another party. This is up near the hospital. We liked this place because there were lots of good-looking chicks at this party and some beverages and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
We're all inside the house. Now, we knew the kid whose dad owned that house was a big, drunken scumbag. Everybody hated him. He's a real super mean guy. And we were, scared of this guy. So we're in the house doing our thing, and all of a sudden, he pulls up, right? And so we're all in the kitchen. There's no way to get out the front door because he's there, right? So we had to jump off the deck of this house.
Oh, my gosh.
That sucked. And I did a triple Lindy into the dirt. And my landing was not the worst, by the way. But that was another one. I've been to several parties back in the high school days that were not planned well. Let's just put it that way. And you had to make a hasty exit. What about you? Did you ever have anything like that?
Well, there's one time this is a college story. My buddy Tom and I were sitting there, and this is your typical college party. There's everybody's drinking, everybody's having a good time. But Tom and I were absolutely addicted to golf on the Nintendo Entertainment System. We were roommates, and we would go home. We would go home every day, and we would play round after round of golf on the NES.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there. We've been at this party for a while, and I was like, you know what, Tom? I want to play some golf right now. And he's like, yeah, golf. And so we got up to leave. And as we get up to leave, these two girls walk in, buxom women of the college age, holding Jello shots. They give us the Jello shots, and they're like, you guys don't need to leave. Just stick around, We're like, sorry, ladies, we got to go. We went back and we played golf. And it wasn't until much later that we realized the stupidity of our actions.
Yeah. That's no good. That's a bad story for you, Bode.
It is.
That's a poor. You never had to evacuate a place in a hurry though, or you were getting chased out by somebody?
I don't. It's funny. What did your mom call you growing up? Freak magnet.
Yeah.
I didn't really hang with that kind of crowd where I would have to make those kind of exits. Now, I will say that they make for excellent stories, like the one where the guy's butt was hanging out of the window as he was trying to leave the apartment and stuff.
Well,
the house.
You're talking about that was out. Believe it or not, that was out at Cow Creek or somewhere. No, we all left. That's another one where the dad came home. That was actually the same house that we jumped off the balcony.
Oh, okay.
My buddy was in the back with his girlfriend, and they were in that dude's bed, by the way. I'm sure they were just talking about politics and whatnot. But, yeah, he came home, and so they had to get out the door there quick as a hiccup. And so my buddy jumped out the window, and then he tried to catch the chick, and she just nose dove like a lawn dart, which was great. That was good. The one you might also be thinking about is the time where my buddy tried to get his girlfriend out of the house without the mom knowing.
I think this is what
And
I
they
was thinking of.
and
Yes.
she came outside and watched him pull her out of the window. When he saw her, he tried stuffing her back in like that would help. That was also glorious. A lot of dumb times back in the day.
Do you?
Boo.
I mean, would you? Speaking of the former example you gave,
Yeah.
would you approve necessarily of getting to know a female in your parents' bed? That seems icky to me.
Yeah, that would be no good. Plus,
Yeah.
if you're an angler, there's other places. You know,
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
need to see. And also, that's incredibly risky
Yeah.
for a bunch of reasons. So no, that's. But listen, I knew a lot of icky people, Boat. Still do.
All right, Aaron. Well, speaking of icky people, let's talk about this week's Amiga news.
Amiga News.
All right, Aaron. Our first story this week comes to us from our friend Ravi Abbott.
Is he icky, Boat?
He's not he's the least icky person I know.
Oh yeah.
Ravi has published a new video, and Ravi, of all the people that I know, and of course we know pretty much everybody that's knowledgeable about the Amiga, we have some sort of contact with.
Oh yeah, we know them all.
Ravi is by far the most knowledgeable person about the history of the Amiga software, and he might not necessarily be a programmer, but as far as the history and everything that can be done with an Amiga, Ravi is an endless font of information. And he's published this video about weird and obscure computer operating systems for the Amiga. Now, Aaron, the first one of these, and this is not a joke, the first one of these is called POS.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard of this.
In what world was this a good idea?
Well, it does get you off to a rough start. There's no doubt about that. What's the P stand for, Boat?
I don't know. Ravi does talk about it, but I've already forgotten. But anyway, he takes you through, and this actually POS, it actually looks really cool. It was I think it was only available in beta form. It was never officially fully released. But then he goes into Amiga Unix. He talks about Scalos. He talks about Amiga OS XL. I watched this whole thing mostly because I'm a big fan of Ravi's smooth delivery, but also because it was very informative. And Ravi taught there's some presenters, they do a good job of pretending they're not reading off a script.
Yeah.
Ravi, I think he does all of this off the cuff. I mean, he's so natural with his delivery.
Yeah.
And when you listen to him, it's just like he's talking to you.
Yeah.
I highly recommend you check out his channel. His channel is just called Formula, Aaron. And you can check out this Beyond Amiga OS video.
It's funny because, of course, Formulas is like DJ in name.
Yeah.
So someone come over here to check out some sweet tunes. It's like the downfall of Amiga, the operating systems. I'd be like, what's going on here? So yeah, that's why he's so smooth, man, because he's been seasoned. He's been honed under the fires of live DJ action. After that, you can just get on the camera and say anything. People buy
That's
it.
true.
So
That's true. Now, Aaron, our next video, one of my most anticipated videos of the year, this is the 10-minute Amiga Retrocast Ami West 2022 report. Added a couple extra years in there. This is your full recap. Lots of people wanted to go to Ami West, but weren't able to make it because of location, money reasons.
Like
the
us,
state of the
we'd
economy.
go to this, wouldn't we?
That's right. Doug takes you there. He gives you basically a 10-minute rundown before he takes you into the action of what happened. And this looks like, a really, really fun time. Of course, there were tons and tons of people there that were in the Amiga scene. RJ Michael was there. The Tim Jensen, I think is his name. Now, Aaron, does the name Kiki Stockhausheimer mean anything to you?
I believe she was in one of the new tech
people.
I know.
I'd never
her.
heard of her before, but apparently she was a big deal. So she showed up unannounced.
She's a girl that uses the Amiga. That I think that is a rarity.
After looking at the rest of the footage here, I believe that she might have been the only one in attendance. So this is but listen, man, Doug does a fantastic job giving you a rundown of all the people, all of the exhibits that were there. Plus he talks about the banquet, the talk that Tim is doing, his new endeavors. Pretty cool thing. And of course this was not just an Amiga show. There were lots of Commodore products here. There was even an Atari ST in the house,
Yeah,
Aaron.
he took time to badmouth it and bury it. By the
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
they had a ZX Next there. I was surprised that, and also they had the as someone mentioned the Mega 65. Those ain't cheap, brother.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. And of course we also have to mention our good friend Eric Nelson, who was in attendance,
oh
as well
yes.
as Tech Mage and I2 Scooby from the Discord. They were all in the house.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
I didn't. Oh, that's great.
yeah,
Where's your reports, boys?
yeah.
Look at
So
that thing. Holy
make sure
smokes.
you check this out. 35 minutes long and
Yeah.
well worth watching every minute.
Yeah, Doug did a good job. You get a little flavor of the show, not just the pictures. Plus, you know, is it just me? I mean, we've seen the Amy West video for a couple years, and I thought to myself, man, this is a pretty low. There's not a lot of people here, and but
Mhm.
this year it looks like it's like Comdex or something. There's a ton
Yeah,
of people there,
yeah.
and
Well, you bring in
big
RJ
wheels.
Michael, you bring in the new tech team, you're
Yeah,
going to draw. You're going to
is
draw.
that how it works?
That's how it works. That's why we drew at Boat Fest. We
Yeah,
brought in
we
you.
didn't have those guys. Can you imagine what would RJ Michaels do at Boat Fest? What
Oh, he'd sit in the corner and drink. He might
you got a
he might
point
play your
there.
virtual pinball machine.
That's true. Very good, valid point.
Yeah. All right, Aaron, we move on now to a technical story. You can now bootstrap your Amiga without a floppy with this one weird trick. At
Yeah.
first, I thought this was total spam because of its title, but it turns out this is actually a legitimate article. This is something that you can do. You actually manipulate one of the ports on the back to trick the system into booting without a boot disk, without a floppy disk. So, Aaron, is this something that you know and or care about?
I didn't know about it. I don't care that much about it, to be honest with you. I do like this site. I don't know if you go to Hackaday.
I've been there.
They got some pretty crazy stuff on here. This is kind of neat, just the way they did it. On the flip side, he says, unlike the C64, we probably won't be seeing brand new replica Amigas anytime soon. Au contraire, I don't agree with that.
Mm.
I'd say you've already seen replica Amigas.
Well, I
So
want to
I'd say
say
we're gonna
that,
get
yeah,
something.
I want to say that this guy, I'm not exactly sure why he's, well, I think what he's talking about maybe is like the Mega 65, that sort of a thing. And I don't think, because of all of the different rights holders and things that have to do with the replicating the chips and things like that, I don't know that we're going to see a full size replica Amiga made with off the shelf parts
Oh,
like the
no, I don't think,
C64.
but I don't think that would make it. And none of these Mega 65s or ZX Next, none of these things are. I mean, they've all got, you know, they've all got FPGAs in them. You know,
Mhm.
so I mean, I guess that's off a shelf. It's a real high, expensive shelf that I can't reach anymore, but it's there, way up there.
Now, Aaron, this next bit of news is probably the most exciting news of the week.
Oh man,
So sorry, stories that follow this story, you lose. Um,
pre-burial.
this is the Amy Game Jam is
Oh
launching
yeah.
today, or actually it launched a couple days ago. This one's sponsored by, or this one is themed sword and sorcery.
Ooh,
Okay.
I like it.
This is, of course, a brand new creation contest for developers from around the world to develop some new games for both classic OCS and AGA Amigas and next gen Amigas. So, Aaron, the entries are already starting to flood in. Indie Retro News has been buried under a deluge of new titles. We're not going to talk about all these because they're very much in their early stages. But there's a Bomberman clone that's being developed. There's a new Frogger clone that looks really cool.
Mm.
As these things come along more and they are released, we'll cover them in depth on the news segment. But definitely head over to Indie Retro News and check out the full scoop on the next Amy Game Jam. This thing is it's super exciting because it gives people a reason to pursue the projects that they might have in the back of their head. People just need a reason sometimes, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, this thing created a lot of really good games last year. I love this thing. We love this stuff, and this is, you know, a few years ago we were complaining that there was nothing really that interesting coming out for the Amiga, and now like the floodgates are open, which is great. I'm glad we're here. Now it's time.
Yeah. Now, our next story, Aaron, is about one of those games, a game that was just released this past week. This is Neo Noir. This is a cyberpunk style adventure game,
Ooh.
Aaron. This thing,
yes.
man, this looks fantastic. This is a combination point and click adventure and visual novel games. There's going to be a lot of text to read and a lot of dialogue to go through. But man, when you look at the graphics in this thing, they are off the charts in terms of their. I don't know if you call this. It's sort of like it's pixel art, but it's almost like photorealistic pixel art, don't you think?
This looks like if like Neuromancer in one of the Tex Murphy games had a child. That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I caught a little bit of this the other day. I was flipping through some news. Now this looks pretty good. It also kind of reminds me of that weird vampire game we played a couple years last year.
Absolutely.
The
I believe that was
vampire
called
one. I can't.
Generation
Yeah.
X.
No, you always make that mistake. It wasn't that. That's that isometric game.
What's the game with the guy's profile takes up half the screen?
Oh, that was another one. Don't you remember the vampire one has that great opening where he gets bit? That was so funny. But this looks good. Man, the art looks like this isn't something where
Thank you, Duncan.
This isn't a game where you made lame Luigi or whatever and painted it. Look at this art. You called it. It looks like photos to me. I think it is photos, Bode.
And get this, Aaron. You can go on over to itch. This is steamnight.itch.io to purchase this thing. And when I say purchase, I mean name your own price.
Holy
so you can
smokes.
download it.
Are you kidding me?
Check it out. If you like it, throw the guy a couple bucks. I love this pricing format because it's a try before you buy type deal.
So this thing is currently available to like I could play this tonight if I wanted to.
You can play this tonight.
Holy smokes. Did we hear about this before today?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Level Lord's already bought it. I believe Pixels has already bought it. So this thing is flying off the metaphorical shelves.
Well, that's good. Those guys have good taste. Hey, Takeshi's News. This looks like a winner. Excellent work. I love it. Looks like it's right up my alley too.
Now, this next one, Aaron, reminds me of a classic episode of ARG Presents.
Oh, Lord.
Remember old Fat Worm Blows a Sparky?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. How can you forget that one?
Well, this is a game called this is not related to the Game Jam. This is just another game that's currently in development. It's a game called Capacitor's Revenge, Aaron.
Oh man.
And this is a new game where you have to stop all of the nasty caps from hurting your 68,000 CPU. Saberman has put a game he's put a thing out on this. This looks really cool. I want to check this out. I love the fact that they've used an A500 motherboard. And it looks like a how would you describe it? This is a game where it's sort of like a Tempest type game where you're circling around your 68,000 chip, and there are enemies coming in. It looks cool, and I believe that this one is also free.
This looks like it's part of the Game Jam, Bode.
Oh yeah, it is. I take it back. This is part of that Amiga Blitz. I believe that this is the older, maybe this is the older Game Jam, not the one that was announced today. Because this Game Jam ended on September 1st.
This looks very clever, Bode, to look at it. What you're doing here, you're right. It is sort of like Cosmic Arc or Tempest.
Yeah, Cosmic Arc. That's a good.
Awesome. Those games where you have to fight stuff off. I think that's really neat, and the concept of it's real clever too. I think it's very clever what they've done here. So good for you. That's a very good idea. Very cute.
Yeah,
I like it, especially, and it's sort of funny if you're into the technical side of the Amiga. We should get Chris Edwards to play this and Frank. Those guys, they could probably have the last word on these capacitors, but
absolutely. So, we got a couple more game stories, Aaron. This one is called Ouija Nights.
Oh,
you guys were talking about the Ouija last week on Conversations from the Dark Side.
Like the Ouija board? Is that what we're talking about?
Oh. Unfortunately, this is about about as far away. It's about as far away from the Ouija board as you can get. Right. This is a new game for adults. It's 18 plus, Aaron.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a guy. There's a guy named Ned. And he's getting ready to have a boozy night out. Oh yeah.
This is
So,
booze related, this
yeah,
game?
here is the full game description. Guide our hero Ned through a boozy night out in Glasgow. Keep him
Ah!
in the zone to keep him out longer. If he gets too drunk or too sober, he'll have to go home. Sounds like me. Spend your cash wisely, buy booze and food to balance Ned's drunkenness and help him last the distance. You got to watch out for the unsavory characters roaming the street as well. What do you think about this game, Aaron?
I wish I'd known about this before banned from YouTube. I'd already picked a game. This would have been great for that, for the ARG this week. Well, I do enjoy the way your guy walks around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of this one, Boat. That's a
This
hey.
one, I really, I hope that the AGSC finds it within their hearts to select this for us because this looks cool. It looks cool. It's like a free roaming isometric adventure game where you're throwing down beverages, you're eating some sausage rolls, and you're out on a night on the town.
You know, me and the Brent played a game on a C64 a couple weeks. It's been about a couple months ago, where you played a guy who had to go around and keep his booze levels to a certain amount. Eventually, had to get him in school and stuff.
Alcocopter.
No, not
Alcocopter.
Alcocopter. This was on the C64. This
Oh.
was something me and the Brent played, and it was
Mm.
you actually walked around this town. And you were trying to keep your booze at a certain level and your food at a certain
Oh
level.
yeah,
And
I
you
remember that.
tried
That was
not to
New
get
York City. That was
robbed.
New York City, the Big Apple.
No, it wasn't that either. You're just spouting off random names. It's none of those things. I don't remember the name of it, but it was pretty. That's sort of what this reminds me of in a weird way.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, the Ouija,
Yeah.
check them out. Ouija Nights.
Why is it called that, Boat?
I think it's a Scottish thing.
Okay, fair enough then. Yeah.
And our final game story of the week, Aaron. This is Black Dawn Technomage. We've talked about this for several weeks.
Yeah.
The third and final entry in the Amiga, the AGA, the Black Dawn saga.
Yeah.
Is now available for purchase in both on itch and the boxed edition. This is a dungeon crawler game with a sci-fi bent.
Yeah.
This is we've talked about it before. They made a lot of quality of life improvements on this one, including giving you some auto mapping and things like that.
Yeah. That mapping goes a long way right there.
Check this out. You can pick this up, Aaron. It's very reasonably priced. Unlike a lot of games that we've looked at these days, they actually are realistic with their pricing. $10 for the downloadable title. That is, I will pay 10 it's 10 pounds. I apologize, but I will pay 10 pounds.
It's cheaper than $10
all day
not
long.
now. But look at that. Look at the cool stuff if you get the box version. Now some of these games, but this one you got the mouse pad, the coasters.
Right.
You know, you got the whole
and you're coming in under 50 quid for this thing, which for all the feelies plus the box edition, I'm in favor of this.
Yeah, I like that stuff. Hey, before we move down the line on news, just a couple quick things I want to talk about. I caught some of Amiga Bill's stream Sunday. Now, we both love Bill.
Oh, yeah.
He's so great. You know, he's King Dong of the Amiga world, right? And he had that new Kung Fu style game that just came out that I think we previewed it a couple weeks ago.
The Kung Fu Master, but it's called something else.
Yeah,
McGeezer did it.
This looked great. Okay, it looked really good. And so I've already tried to get a box copy. Well, they're all gone, but they're supposed to reissue some of those. But that looks like a winner, big time winner, because we both love Kung Fu. Devil's Temple. Thank you, Pixels and Don.
We do have some real-time feedback from Super Family King about Ouija's Night Out.
Yeah.
People from Glasgow are Glaswegians, or commonly known as Ouijas.
Oh, look at that. That's what streaming's all about right there. When people can make you feel less dumb. I know. So, but anyway, number one, check out Amiga Bill's stream. It's up on his channel. You should check it out. It was really good. But he did play Devil's Temple. He also played a new shooter that's coming out that looked really good. I mean, these were some top level games, Bo, like way up here. The quality was off the charts. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be in the Amiga. The good stuff's coming. We waited, and the C64 was getting all that stuff. We're like, we're getting a couple things, but now the floodgates are open. We're getting us some. I love it.
Yeah, and speaking of getting you some, Aaron, let's talk about RetroRewind.ca.
You know, speaking of games, Bode, I wanted to highlight this because this is something me and you, we're going to get ourselves into. You know, our good buddy Frank over at Retro Rewind, listen, we've talked about the fact that he'll recap your classic computers. That's an obvious one. We've talked about the fact that he'll sell you high-quality capacitor kits to do your own recapping. That's an obvious one. He'll do all your repairs. He'll do all that sort of things. But he also sells some interesting stuff. And I was looking at all these games coming out, and I was looking at what he had along those lines. And what he's got here, Bode, is the Amiga 4-player adapter. A lot of people don't know that you could take one of these adapters, stick it on any Amiga, including the Amiga 1000, and you can play 4-player games on the Amiga. And I looked at the list of these, and there's tons of them. I was stunned how many games there were, Bode.
Really?
And I don't mean like 5. I mean like, 20, 25 games, something like that. That support this thing or more.
Cool.
And this thing can be had for a song over at Retro Rewind, $15 in stock to get one of these things. I mean, yes, can you get Amiga accelerators for Frank? Absolutely. You can get relocators for your various chips on your various machines. You can get breakout boards for various slots in your big box Amigas. All this stuff's available from Frank because Frank is such a high-quality operator. You can trust him. Ask anyone that's dealt with him. I've never heard a bad word when it comes to his service, and his speed of shipping is second to none. And on top of everything else, you could get a sweet deal if you are a fan of the Amigos, can't you, Bode?
That's right. You load up your cart with goodies. Use the promo code Amigos10 at checkout. Make sure you sign into your account before you do this, and you will save 10% off the already obscenely low prices
They're low
there on Frank's site. So we appreciate Frank for offering this deal to all of the Amiga community, and we also appreciate him for being an official sponsor of the Amigos.
Absolutely.
All right, Aaron, it's time. Let's talk about Exit.
Nice little ditty there in a boat.
Now, Aaron, before you even begin, as you looked at that guy's face on the loading screen,
yeah,
where does he rank among the pantheon of dopey Amiga mascots?
I think he's actually not bad. He's not bad. I mean, we've seen far worse than this guy.
Yeah.
Plus, he happens to be in a game where you have to be real smart to play it. So no matter how dumb they made him look, he's actually must be pretty smart. He's getting this stuff figured out. I mean, sort of, you're helping.
I find him to be incredibly non-offensive.
Yeah. Listen, that's all we ask these days.
Yeah.
If you don't make us hate you, then we'll like you. It's that simple. He's no top banana girl, that's for sure. So this is an interesting one. Exit, that's X-IT, Boat. Puzzler, we're going to look at this week. Have you played this one in the past, Boatster?
Never.
No,
in fact, I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit that I didn't understand what the name was trying to tell me until I was contemplating it late at night.
Well, I do spell it different.
Yeah.
So Exit released in 95, Boat, which explains a few things. 2 discs. This is a 1-player game developed by an outfit called Data Design Systems. They were responsible for just a couple other titles that I never heard either one of them. Pinky and Zonked, which I don't know what those are. And published by our good buddies at Psygnosis. Psygnosis, a lot of people forget, did publish some puzzle games now and again, including Bill's Tomato Game.
Didn't they also publish they didn't do Lemmings, did they?
Yeah, that was also them. That was Lemmings. Yeah, they did them. This was coded by Richard Haskett and Stephen Bond. As far as I can tell, this is all they did on the Amiga. Graphics done by Marcus Stringer, who did Pinky, and the music was done by Darren Wood, who also worked on Pinky. This was produced by Greg Duddle, and Greg Duddle actually worked on a lot of games we've played here at Boat, including Benefactor, Bill's Tomato Game, Glodule, and Wiz and Liz.
We've played a lot of those.
Yeah, exactly. And, of course, this is an ECS-OCS joint. I looked into this game to see what kind of ports it had, and I read that it does have a DOS port.
Yeah, I read that too.
But I could not find any footage of the port and found very little information about it.
Sometime we'll have to fire it up on like ExoDOS or something.
I saw music from it, like on YouTube, but I didn't
Right.
see, which can you imagine? But I didn't see the game proper. So yeah, for future reference, apparently the it did exist. Um, I didn't know anything about this Data Designs. Uh, so they were Data Design Interactive. They went to Data Design Systems. According to Moby, they were active from '83 to 2012, which I wonder if that's just how long the webpage stayed up. And they were in the West Midlands
Okay.
boat. Have you been to the West Midlands over there?
Yeah, that's the train station that I normally whenever I would go to London, I think I
Uh,
would take the West Midlands line. That's like the train company.
it says here it's Birmingham Street, Halzowen, Halesowwen, Halzowen. So anyway, if you're anywhere near that, you would know where that is. I'm not familiar with it.
That's where Pixels at Dawn is from, apparently.
Oh, look at that! Isn't that neat?
So it's the Leicester area.
So when this game comes up, I will say this: I do admire this about the game. It doesn't beat around the bush, does it? It comes
No.
up, and then you pick it doesn't even give you anything. It just it gives you a bunch of different pictures, silhouettes of different level sets,
Mm-hmm.
and then you pick the level you want to play and you go in. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much
Yeah.
all they do. What do you think about a game that just gets down to business like that,
Well,
Bud?
listen, they told you everything you needed to know in the manual.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
What did you read in the manual?
You're a dude, okay? And you're out. Look at you're wearing your puffy jacket, your
Yeah.
shorts, and your high tops. You got your baseball cap on backwards, and you're throwing up the horns.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the prime stance of every Briton out on the town.
He's a Sooners fan, Boat.
Yeah, yeah. He's throwing up the horns. He's saying, "Go OU." So he is out and getting a curry, right?
Mm.
And he is kidnapped by aliens. Okay. And the aliens want him to solve this series of puzzles. Okay. And so if he solves this series of puzzles, he's allowed to escape. I think the aliens are curious about the mental capacity of your average person on Earth. And so they've chosen this this sort of denizen of the United Kingdom. Okay.
Okay.
So that's it. That's the story.
Yeah, that's it. I looked at the manual for this. I could only find one scan of this manual. I found the
It's the
manual
worst scan that's ever
it-
been scanned in the history of scans.
I couldn't tell if I was like, was this the flight piracy or was this scanned like a hand scanner from like
Right.
1983? I was like, my God. So I tried to read some of the docs from this, but I was like, they were unreadable and no one's typed them out. So this is one of those games you're just like, good luck, jerk. So as we mentioned, this is a puzzle game. And what you're supposed to do here is just leave the level. Pretty simple. Well, it seems simple until you start to play it. I will tell you up front, full disclosure, Boat. It's funny because someone mentioned that Aaron's not going to like this or Aaron's going to stink at this. I'm sad that people know me so well because I did not do well at this game. I did manage to get to the end of the first set of levels, which I was stunned I could get that far. But when I tried, I would go through the different levels and try them. And the one thing I do like about this game, it gives you the ability just to play different level sets, which is dandy. But
Okay,
I didn't
before
do too good.
before we go on, we should talk about what this game is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, this is a Sokoban clone. Okay, Sokoban. I don't know where it originated. The first time I ever played it was on the good old TI-85.
Now, hold on a second. I got a question to ask you before you go on. This Sokoban was sort of a big deal a couple years ago, right? Like everyone was playing it.
Well, like 30 years ago when we were in high school.
Did it come back recently?
I don't think it ever went away.
Okay, so here's the thing. I remember hearing a lot of people talking about Sokoban a couple years ago, and I'm also going to make myself look dumb again. I had no idea what Sokoban was. I just didn't know. I knew I didn't do it, and so I still don't know what it is. So explain what it is to me.
Okay, so Sokoban is a game where you push boxes around in a room to escape, or depending on the game, you either have to move the boxes to a certain location in the room to say like push switches to open a door, or you just have to push the boxes out of the way so you can get to the exit.
Okay.
That's Sokoban.
All right. Okay, carry on then. Thank you.
Okay. So in this game, you're playing Sokoban, except instead of just moving boxes around, you're actually pushing box-like objects into a hole in the into a hole like holes in the ground so you can reach the exit of each room. Okay. And this game does a lot of cute things to mix up the variety. Okay. In your classic Sokoban, you're just pushing boxes around. In this game, you've got weights that you're moving around that will stop the boxes from moving. You've got boxes that will travel the entire width of the room. So you've got to set up these sort of weights in front of them to stop them. You've got ice to contend with. You've got water. You've got there are explosives. So imagine if not only do you have to move a box, but you have to move a piece of dynamite with a certain with a clicking down fuse to blow up an area so you can move the boxes. There are tons and tons and tons of variety of boxes and obstacles that you have to
Teleporting
overcome within
stuff.
this game. There's
Yeah.
teleporting stuff. It's really that you can't accuse these guys of sort of mailing in a Sokoban clone. I really believe that they've done all you can do with this style of game. They've pushed the limits of the genre as far as you can.
They also, now again, were there games like video games that are notable that use this formula in the past, Bo, that you could think of off the top of your head?
Sokoban.
So, well, they sure made me look dumb. Thanks, Bode.
I mean, it's like, were there elements of Pipe Dreams in any other game? Well, yeah, there's been tons of Pipe Dreams clones, but Pipe Dreams is the game. It's the game that defined the genre, to use an ARG term.
Okay, fair enough. The I've got to say, for me, these little slide puzzles. When I first started playing this game, when it first came up, and I figured out what I was doing, I was like, "Oh man, look at this! This is one of these things." I didn't know what the formal name was, but and of course, I will say I also use save states many, many times because otherwise I would just fail because I failed over and over and over when I did these levels. It's not like I just sat down and cranked out 15 levels. It took forever. But it doesn't get in the way of itself. I will say that the graphics are attractive. Your clearly defined goal is there. Like, you don't have any trouble trying to figure out what you're supposed in terms of like where you're supposed to go. You know what everything is. I like that. Hey, the music in this was real good too, wasn't it?
The music is it's good. Yeah, the
Yeah.
music is good. Um, can I give you my rundown of things that I liked and things that I
Yeah,
don't
go
like?
ahead, Boat, and I'll chime in after you're done.
Okay. So things that I like. The graphics are great. This is I would say this is a console quality graphical release for 1995. If you're talking about a 16-bit puzzle game for this genre,
Yeah.
the obvious comparisons are things like Lemmings, things like Pushover. This fits right in with all of that
It's
stuff.
not taxing though. I mean, you're not we're not looking at Shadow of the Beast here either, so it's not
No,
super
no, I mean,
taxing. Yeah.
you don't really want that in a game
Right,
like
right. I understand.
that. I thought I like all the extra touches, like you're in this alien ship and you have things like computer terminals and stuff like that. I think those were neat graphical touches. What I would have liked even more is if those things actually did stuff. So it would be cool is like if you for example, as a midpoint through the stage, if you access the computer terminal, maybe the computer terminal gives you a power up, or maybe that's your save point. That leads me to my next thing that I didn't like. This game desperately, desperately cries out for a judiciously applied undo button. I realize you can't have unlimited undos because that would destroy the game, but giving you one or two a level, because this game, the controls I found to be a little bit touchy. Sometimes you'll be pushing a box and you'll just go too far, and you can't
Yeah.
pull a box in this game.
Yeah.
So you're screwed, and then you have to start over. And a lot of these more complex levels, you're setting things up. You're setting things into motion that take a while to do. And so, and part of this type of a game is being aware of that, and being aware that, like, okay, this level is going to take me 10 minutes of setup, and it's going to take me 10 minutes of trial and error, then 10 minutes of setting up the things to put the pieces in place to where I can actually do it. And if you're a fan of these types of games, you know what you're in for. I is somebody that is not particularly a fan of this type of game to sit down and play on my computer. I would have appreciated, just as a time saver, the ability to, if you push a block too far, either give you a limit, really just say like you've got a certain amount of strength, and you've got a limited amount of pulls, where if you accidentally push a box too far, you can pull it back one or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
That probably would break a lot of the puzzles, though, being able to do that.
well, here's the thing. In this game, you essentially have unlimited continues because you get a password to you. The game doesn't make sense from a lot of perspectives. First of all, you have a life meter and a time meter.
Yeah.
To me, these are useless and they shouldn't be in the game.
I don't know, the time
Um,
one screwed me a bunch of times.
Yeah, in a game where they give you a password where you can instantly get back to where you are, it's like you got to choose one or the other. If you're making this a like how far can you get type game, don't give me a level code, or give me a level code every 5 levels, but they've put all the levels in front of you. You have your level select and then the stage select within it, which is what I would want. In which case, this game just needs to be your traditional puzzle game where you shouldn't have a time limit. You shouldn't have a health meter. You should just be able to get in there. If you can do it, you can do it. If you can't, restart and try it again, you know?
I assumed that because the life meter didn't come into play too much during the first 15 levels. I assumed at some point going forward it would become more of a factor that where I just didn't get that
Well,
far.
there are levels where you start out with not a whole lot of life and then
Yeah.
you pick up a heart, and I think that in these early stages, they're essentially trying to explain the game. One thing I will say about this game is the difficulty curve is perfect. They
Mm,
hold your hand, and I am a man that likes to have his hand held.
mm.
They show you exactly what every single mechanic does. They give you a real easy level or two to show you how it works. And then once the levels do start to ramp up, you feel prepared for them. This game is great in that regard. And
I
it's
needed my hand to be held, and perhaps I needed to be picked up. To be honest with you, maybe hoisted up and cuddled like a child,
mhm,
because
yeah.
I had way more trouble. I don't know if I've got the right kind of brain for these sort of games, these
Well, this
sliding
is a
puzzles.
game. This is a game that when I was a kid and I was in math class and I was not doing well in math class, I would fire up old Sokoban and that would give me some entertainment to get through the class. I am of the persuasion where I would never sit down and play this game on my own accord if I had other games to play. This is just not my preferred genre of game. But in terms of the calculator style games, this is number one with a bullet. I would much rather play a game like this than one of those like, endless runner type games that were so popular on the TI-85 or Drug Wars or something like that. This is one of these things where it gives you just enough mental stress to take your mind off whatever mundane activity or whatever class that you don't care about you're in.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. It's I guess also this is one of those games that's going to appeal to certain people, just like a lot of
Yeah,
puzzle games are like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I will say now again, it's not one that appeals to me personally, but I like how quick you could get into it. I like that you could if you like you get to a point where you screwed up, you can just hit escape, and it just lets you. Of course, you lose a chance, but you get to
Mhm.
go again. Because I did that a lot. I could have done without the timer, but I mean, again, and it didn't come into play all that much, except I was really puzzled. I just sat there like an idiot. But
Mhm.
I'm assuming that comes into play more later as well. But for what it is, it's well done and polished looking. I like the tunes. I like the look of it. The control. You're right. I will say, and I'm not sure it's the game's fault exactly. I guess maybe it is. Sometimes it's easy to push those little barrels over one thing too far or whatever, and when you do that, you're boned.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
it's an instant reset.
yeah, and then you lose a chance right there. Uh, I found the game both frustrating and tedious. If you want the truth, it's not the game's fault really. It's just this type of game. Uh, um, you have to think way far ahead, and you have to. I think people that are good at these sorts of games, it's like chess. These are people that have conditioned their brains to understand this stuff. And for us laymen that come in, we always have trouble. And this one was one I could tell right away. I'm like, man, I'm gonna struggle with this. Now, with all that said, I did like the little facets that they added. This is the kind of game that after you figure out what to do, you feel like an idiot sometimes. And there was a couple levels mixed in where that, because you'll go through, like you said, a ton of moves. You're like, man, I got to do a lot of stuff to get out of here. And then there's some levels that are, I don't know, I want to say they're a little bit cheeky, where there's only a couple moves, and if you
Mm-hmm.
do them right, you could get out pretty quick. And that's always gratifying to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
When you could do that, and probably know what I'm talking about on
Yeah.
that first
Yeah.
15. And so it's nice to buzz past one real quick, because I needed the psychological boost, frankly, to get past the other harder ones where I had to struggle so much. Like I said, I did use save states on this because I didn't feel like, have to start up back at level 1 or, whatever. I like to just go right again.
Mhm.
I would also see this thing where it just doesn't make you start over, to be honest with you. I mean, you've got the level codes, but like you said, why bother even with that stuff? I don't mind the groupings and stuff, but I mean, why have a limited amount of tries? Just let you
Yeah.
try until you get it. That's the way I
Right.
look at it. But I
Right.
guess it's something to extend the longevity of the game. I mean, it's a pretty long game. It's got like
Well,
120.
you also have a score, and I think that
Yeah.
I don't know who would play this type of game for a high score, but it is on there if you want to go that way.
Yeah, it's 120 levels, Boat.
You get your money's worth.
And you also get these. How stunned were you at the bonus level? I was
Yeah.
appalled.
Yeah.
It's like a game. You're in like well, what I got to, I don't know, they may change, but you're in like a fighter,
Yeah,
spaceship, and you're
it's a no fail collect them up high speed vertical shooter
yeah,
type thing where you're
you just
just
collect
running over stuff.
coins.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
collect coins. It's a cool thing, you know. I would have liked to have seen those a little bit more often, and I would have also liked to have seen a little bit more variety within the stages
yeah,
instead of giving you, 15 levels of the exact same background music and the exact same background palette. Maybe every other, each level, you once you pass a level, you get a new song, and maybe you still only have 4 songs, but at least you're cycling through them a little bit more regularly because that music did start to I did mute the music
yeah.
after a
But I
time.
mean, I like the
The
tune.
music it was a
Yeah,
good tune, don't
but
get me
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. Um, believe it or not, of course, we mentioned that there was a port of this game, but we haven't seen. There was actually, from what I read, there was an outfit that did a sort of like a remake of this called X It Again, and this
Mhm.
was on Windows Pentium 3, so it shows you that around when it was out, and it was from an outfit called Puzzle House Finland. So if you feel like looking that up, there you go.
Look it up, Lob.
Yeah, there you go. Um, I wondered how well this would have reviewed in because coming out in '95, there was still some pretty decent stuff out, and I'd be interested to hear where you would score this, but I can tell you what the people scored it. Lemon gave this a 7.74, so I'd say that's a pretty good score.
I'd say that's low.
Amiga Action, well, they were the highest one, one of the highest ones. Amiga Action gave it a 76, Amiga Computing a 70, Amiga Formatted 79, Amiga
Here's
Power,
what I think. Here's what
yeah,
I think. Remember when you did Super Swiv way back on ARG?
yeah, like last weekend, or yeah,
Right. And you couldn't understand why the magazine reviews were so low.
right,
I think this is another casualty of the mid 90s. We're getting into that 3D era. And if a game came out and it sort of looked like an old school arcade game or it sort of looked like an old school 8-bit micro game,
yeah.
people were more inclined to rate it lower than a game that has a lot of flashy 3D pixels and stuff like that.
And by the way, I want to mention this has just popped up. The video we're using for the show this week, straight from Pixel at Dawn Gaming's
Yeah.
YouTube channel. So if you don't have Pixels at Dawn added to your subscribe list, get on over there because Pixels has got some good stuff on there. Anyway, to finish up on my on these reviews, Amiga Power gave it an 80, which is the high mark. CU Amiga, they didn't like this game. 58%. They
Wow.
killed it. The average magazine rating 73, so the average magazine rating was even lower than the Lemon score of 77. So, I think what you just said is probably spot on. But what did we get any Discord action on this? Oh,
Tons of
please.
Discord action. So start things off with Pajako, the reviewer of all things. He says, a take on classic Sokoban. Exit is one of those games that will have you cursing, crying, and possibly even soiling yourself a little. Ew. But despite all of that, you'll go back for more.
He
I don't
wrote
know. If I
that?
soiled myself, I would not go back for more.
No, I would quit immediately, and I'd go to the doctor.
Some of the puzzles are quite mind-bending and took a few tries to work out.
A
It's not
few?
always clear what the pickups are, and sometimes you can mess up a level without realizing, so some kind of notification would have been good. Actually, that's probably true. As soon as you move a block and the computer knows you're screwed, you should just get a sign that says you're screwed.
Yeah,
Start
and
over.
the thing is, that's something about these games that make me nervous, just like chess. Like, you can
Mhm.
move one thing and you're
Oh, yeah.
screwed. The
You're
second you
screwed.
come on, you're screwed.
That's
It's like,
right. That's
oh.
right. But none of those stop this game from being fun and very playable. The only thing I would change is having bonus points for completing levels efficiently rather than having energy and timers. And a continue option would have been quite nice too. With great graphics and music, Exit is a game that could easily work on console and 8-bit micros. So get porting, homebrewers. Not perfect, but it has that just one more go quality, 8 out of 10.
Mm.
Lobsterminator writes, a game from the very tail end of the Amiga's lifespan that I had not played before, but found myself enjoying quite a bit. I did not get too far into the game, but the puzzle started to challenge my few remaining brain cells nicely. Each level introduced new mechanisms well, and I didn't have trouble understanding new items when they appeared. The timer mechanism added an unnecessary layer of difficulty when the problems alone surely would have been enough. This game would have not blown anyone's mind in 1995, but it's nice enough. It's a nice enough brain teaser. 7.5 out of 10. Pixels at Dawn writes, as you may know, I'm something of an Amiga puzzle connoisseur. This is a game I strongly remembered picking up in big box style from the shelves of Electronics Boutique in sunny Wolverhampton and taking home with me on the bus. It's not fancy, it's not massively innovative, but it is a really solidly made Sokoban clone with appealing visuals, a good difficulty curve, and music that I am still humming 27 years later. As with any good puzzle game, it introduces concepts to the player gradually, but can still catch you out with the basics if you're not careful. I think many people may have missed this as it's a later release, but I can tell you I loved it back then and I still do now. Could do without the timer and lives as always, but level codes mitigate this somewhat. Exit. It's just solid, enjoyable fun without really any flaws. 9 out of 10.
Mm.
And finally, Benz writes, a fun puzzler that is very much in the style of puzzle games of the time. I played a ton of Chips Challenge on my Atari
Oh,
Lynx, and
yes.
there are some similar themes here. It's effective and inoffensive and achieves what it sets out to do. Graphics are fine, difficulty curve is about right, and as mentioned, the time and energy meters are an unnecessary added level of hassle. A fine title without breaking any new ground or doing anything out of the ordinary. Well worth a couple hours of your time. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, Chip's Challenge is an excellent referral. That's another one that everyone I know loved, and I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was a well done game that I sucked at and never played. But
Mm.
I tried, Boat. I tried. Some people may be so inclined as to purchase this game, Boat,
Mm.
and it is available from our good friends at the old eBay. I saw the discs. Now I didn't see these sold, but the discs. I saw two sets of discs, each going for $38 each for the discs. That's a lot.
Wow.
I saw
Yeah.
a sealed copy of this available, Boat. If you're one of these people that are perfectionists, you want it sealed. 344 US bucks. That's some big
Mm.
money. I didn't see any of these non-sealed completed box for sale, but I saw one that had sold recently. So if you hang out and wait, you may be able to find it for the low price of somewhere in the ballpark of 25 to 30 US dollars. So there's a chance you could get it cheap. I don't know if I'd
Yeah.
pay 38 bucks for just the discs for this
No.
game. That
No.
seems like,
But
and I wasn't the box on this. I don't like it. It's not.
mm.
It ain't for a Psygnosis game. It's ugly, real ugly.
All right, Aaron. Let's leave exit. Let's exit.
Good one, Boat. I like what you did there.
Thank you.
Let's
Only took me
exit.
2 tries.
Listen, no one's counting, Boat. So we had a good week this week, Boatster, of releases. Gosh, I'm trying to think where we were last week with this. Let's go ahead and start with uh, our conversations from the dark side. We had this. Gosh, was it just a week ago, Boat?
It
when
was
we
just
did
a week
this?
ago today.
Oh my God! It seems like 1,000 years ago, but yes, we're once a
Oh,
year
man.
Halloween.
You're getting ready to watch me walk out in my Batman costume.
If you're
Full
watching
screen
home,
that bad boy.
if you're watching at home, That's Bo will be coming
There
out.
I am, bam.
Batman after a 6-day bender. That's what he looks like. But we did have a Conversations to the Dark Side, our once-a-year Halloween spectacular. We just said the heck with it. We released on the main channel this year. And it was myself, Mr. Flack, Rob Flack O'Hara, and, of course, the Boat. And the Brent stopped in. And we also had a few submissions to read as well. Mitsuyama had an interesting tale about a Ouija board. We had a good time, Boat. I really enjoyed the parts of this where you talked about the spirit houses.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was really cool. There's you drinking some coffee.
For a big chunk of this, I am large and in charge on the screen.
Well, yeah, because you had the most interesting thing I think we heard that night, which was about these. This was great. I really enjoyed this. If you listen, let's say you don't like Halloween stuff or you're not into ghosts and whatnot, but you want to learn about some interesting cultural things from Thailand, this is the show for you. This could have been a history show or something, but we should have changed the name.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're into, I mean, Halloween's over, but if you're into this sort of thing, pop on over and check it out. It's done better than I thought it would, frankly, if you want the honest truth. So good for that. And thanks for everyone that tuned out live to watch it.
Tuned out is right.
Well, you have to tune out before you watch it. That's part of it. It actually did pretty good on Twitch as well. Let's talk about myself and the Brent. Speaking of Swiv, the game that we played months ago, we played it this week on ARG Presents. The game, the category this week was European exclusives, Boat. And I did indeed pick Mega Swiv for the Mega Drive. Me and you played Swiv on this show long ago.
We did Swiv and Silkworm on the same episode.
We both, but that was dumb. What were we? Because they really have nothing to do with each other except for the fact that they're both Silkworm based. But this was Mega Swiv, so you know it's gold on the Mega Drive, a European exclusive. I actually enjoyed.
Man, look how fast that moves.
Yeah, it moves pretty good. I think Swiv on the Amiga is probably better, but there are good things and bad things. And then the Brent picked a god-awful game. Game Over. And boy, is that the appropriate name for this dog on the C64. This thing is well known for its super incredibly luscious and delightful mega hot chick on the cover of the box. She's also on the loading screen. And Brent did the research and found out that picture was off of an old heavy metal magazine. That's the way you do it, Boat. Just get the magazine cover. But if you want to see me and the Brent wax on about the old European exclusives this week.
Boy, that sure does have, you are not wrong. That's got the typical C64 lovely color palette.
Oh, trust me. Brent brought that up. Did you see what do you see the outdoor parts? They're as brown and lumpy. It's just it's right up your alley, Bo.
Like how much more brown could it be?
It could be real brown. So that's all we've got on the main channel this week. Now, the stream team got a lot of action this week. If you want to head over to the Amigos stream team, we'd love to have you sign up on this bad boy. Happy Coding was back. He's back in action, Boat. We love Happy. Happy's produced quite a few good games. In fact, I got one right here. The old Chase Maxim right here, which he ported over to the ZX Spectrum. He also did a Christmas game. What was that Snowball game from last year? Snowed Under. Great game. Also Asteroids. And Happy, of course, does a programming stream every week. This is the October 13th version. We run them a couple weeks behind so people can catch up. And if you want to check out Happy, and he'll give you tips. He usually has a guest star on who will help him out. There's a really interesting episode coming up where I believe he told me he had like a comic book art or something, one that actually does some art on the show while he's doing programming stuff. Yeah,
that's super cool.
Should be really good. And our other good friend that posts all the time on the old Amigo stream team, our good buddy 48K Josh. This time out, this is in between bouts with the BBC. This is the Gateway PC. He puts together the PC here and then goes to work playing with the old Gateway. Now
I believe that this is the Gateway that he purchased from me. This was my old,
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, Bo.
I think. No, it's not. If that's what that is, it's totally
not. That's a keyboard
I take it back.
there. Let's see if we can rewind back to where he actually shows the actual computer.
If this is that 486. This is it. This is he bought this for me at Boatfest.
See, look at Boatfest. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, it is.
Man. But he gets in here, and 48K RAM's not just going to be not going to fire it up and run like the system checker. He's going to get into it and get in some trouble. So he actually runs some PC demos on this thing, which are pretty cool. And he also messes around with a few other things. A lot of fun. I will say next week on 48K RAM is the sort of, I think this is the season finale. This is to look forward to. I'll be posting it next week where he actually fixes that BBC and you get to, and fools around with it and does some other stuff. Very cool. So I've actually watched that. It was really good. These are all, I like all this stuff. So if you're into this sort of thing, hop on over to Amigos Stream Team. It's sort of our sister channel for streams. I should also mention, Boat, that coming up in the next couple weeks, last week, after Conversation with the Dark Side, I sat in on a 3-hour Vampire the Masquerade RPG session.
I am going to be watching the heck out of this when this drops.
That's going to be going up on the Amigo Stream Team. I think it goes up in the next few days. There is a little bit of adult language in there, but it's not that bad.
Who was part of this? It was you.
It was
Dale
myself, David.
and...
It was David Z. Was in there. Myself and Pat Spartan was in there. Who am I forgetting here? Help me out.
Chud?
No, he wasn't in there. Well, it was me, David Z, and gosh,
Evil
my brain's
Matt?
turned to goo here. I'll tell it was Texas Foosballer.
Texas Foosballer.
Big Tex was in there as well. And so we had a real good time. And by the way, this is a fully enclosed adventure, 3 hours. We'll talk more about it when it posts. But it's coming up, Bo.
All right, Aaron. What do we got coming up next week on Amigos?
Are you excited for next week's show, Boat?
I'm ready, man.
Let's see what we got here, Boat. Oh, man. F-15 Strike Eagle 2. Now, here's something. Here's a little tidbit for you, Boat. I played the Super Nintendo version of this on ARG. I doubt there'll be much of a similarity between the two. Because, yeah, but there.
I do not recollect that episode whatsoever. Well, what was the topic that week?
We get that a lot, Boat. I think it was Microprose games. And so I was desperately trying to not play a real one. And so was Brett, by the way, because he picked something equally as lame on a console. So we did our best to avoid getting too deep into it. I have played the original F-15 Strike Eagle, but I don't think I ever played the sequel. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to that because I really remember enjoying the first one, Boat.
Yeah, well, congratulations to Rolly for Rolro for having his game finally selected. In the Amigos Game Selection Committee, I want to read from you a passage written here. It looks like Rollo nominated. He's nominated two games. This one has just lost out in the polls more times than Pix, who's our AGSC chair, can count. It finally got voted in by the committee. So congratulations to Rolly for getting his game in. I'm looking for, it's been a while since we've done a proper flight sim, Aaron.
I'm right there with you. I'm looking forward to it. I think the last one we did was it a helicopter?
Yeah, I don't count helicopter. It's not a real flying craft. Planes, Aaron.
Rolro is listen, I know people don't know, but Rolro is a double genius. Legitimate genius.
Legitimate
top
genius.
Shelf professor style.
Mm-hmm.
And so just having this guy around makes me feel both simultaneously smarter and dumber. So I'm glad to see he got something in. And this should be, I'm sure he's a better hand at this than we're going to be. That's for darn sure.
All right. We play you out this evening with our list of spectacular patrons, our Twitch subscribers. As always, if you want to support Amigos, head on over to patreon.com/Amigos podcast, and you can do so. It gives you access to our Discord server as well as many, many other things. And enjoy some the haunting love theme from Exit.
Boy, the haunting Exit love theme. Does that mean love is leaving? I think it does.
It's like my life.
Please, get it out. Just take it home, Boat.
Adios, I can't take
everyone.
It home. Oh, yeah, I guess we are going to take it out.
It's the
I
credits.
forgot how we took it out. Yeah, because we're being played out. But I was completely lost. I didn't know where we were in the show. I was getting ready to start the Amiga News theme again. Here we go, everybody. We'll see you next time. And until then, adios.